Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at what's happening with crypto firms in the UK.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild situation.
Yeah.
Imagine you're trying to launch a new financial company,
Okay.
but the main authority is watching you like a hawk, skeptical right from the start.
I could see that.
That's the reality for crypto firms.
Yeah.
Applying for licenses from the Financial Conduct Authority.
FCA.
Exactly, the FCA.
Right.
You've sent us a bunch of sources, including some really interesting feedback directly from the FCA.
Okay.
So we're diving deep to help you understand what makes them say yes or no to these applications.
So what's the FCA's main goal with all of this?
Well, their main goal is to keep the UK financial system squeaky clean.
Makes sense.
Preventing things like money laundering and terrorist financing.
Of course.
But crypto is like the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
Right? It's a whole different ballgame.
A whole different set of challenges.
Exactly. So the FCA is taking a hard line.
Oh, so they're not messing around.
No, they're not messing around at all.
Yeah.
They want to see that these crypto firms really understand the rules. And they're playing by them.
That makes sense. It's high stakes.
Yeah, and it seems like they're not afraid to say no to those who aren't meeting their standards.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. So to help you navigate this whole process, we've got these examples from the FCA of what they consider good and bad applications
I see.
for their crypto asset, anti-money laundering, and counter-terrorist financing regime.
Wow. That's a mouthful.
Yeah, we'll just call it AML-CTF for short.
Okay. AML-CTF.
Got it. It's kind of like having a sneak peek at the examiner's playbook.
That's really valuable.
Oh, absolutely.
So what are we seeing here? What's standing out to you?
Well, I think what's really interesting is that the FCA isn't just focused on whether firms are checking boxes on a form.
So it's more than just ticking the boxes.
It's way more than that. They're looking for evidence
Okay.
that these companies truly get the risks involved in handling crypto.
I see what you're saying.
Do they actually have strong systems in place
Right.
to manage those risks?
That's critical.
And just as importantly, does their company culture prioritize compliance?
So it's not just about talking the talk, it's about walking the walk.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. So one of the things that the FCA highlighted was the need for a robust AML-CTF framework.
Right.
Think clearly documented policies and procedures that are specific to the firm's business activities.
Right. So no cutting corners with generic templates?
No, not at all. They want to see that you've done your homework
Right.
and tailored your approach.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So what else makes for a winning application?
Well, another big factor is a deep understanding of the money laundering risks specific to crypto.
Okay.
The FCA wants to see that firms have thought beyond just general risk assessments.
So they've really thought it through.
Yes. Have they considered the types of clients they work with, the transactions they facilitate,
Right.
and the potential weak points in their systems that could be exploited?
So they're really looking for evidence that firms have thought critically about how their business could be misused.
Absolutely.
What else jumped out at you from the FCA's feedback?
They place a huge emphasis on effective transaction monitoring.
Okay.
They expect to see real-time systems in place
Got it.
that can flag suspicious activity and trigger a response.
Makes sense.
It's not enough to just have these systems.
Right.
Firms need to demonstrate that they know how to use them effectively
Okay.
and that they're actually analyzing the data.
So it's like having a security system in your house.
Okay.
It doesn't do much good if you don't know how to use it
Right.
or respond when the alarm goes off.
Exactly. So we've got a robust AML-CTF framework,
Right.
a thorough risk assessment,
Uh-huh.
and a sophisticated transaction monitoring system.
Got it.
Yep.
Anything else we should add to our checklist for a strong application?
One more crucial thing, skilled personnel,
Okay.
particularly the money laundering reporting officer, or MLRO.
Got it. The MLRO.
Yeah, this is the person on the front lines of compliance,
Right.
ensuring the firm is meeting all the requirements.
Uh-huh.
They need to have the knowledge and experience to handle this complex role.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want just anyone performing surgery or piloting a plane. Right?
Exactly. It's a high-stakes position.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a skilled and experienced MLRO.
Yes, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It makes sense that the FCA would want someone with some serious expertise in that role.
Oh, absolutely.
You wouldn't want just anyone,
Right.
performing surgery or piloting a plane.
Exactly high stakes.
So they're looking for a skilled and experienced MLRO.
Definitely. And you know what's interesting?
What's that?
The FCA actually gave some examples of firms that were doing things right in their applications.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, one firm that really impressed them showed how they'd thoroughly tested their transaction monitoring system
Okay.
using real-world scenarios.
Interesting. So they didn't just rely on theory.
No, they went beyond theoretical assumptions and actually put their system through its
That's
paces.
smart.
Right. It really showed a commitment to actually catching suspicious activity.
Yeah, it's one thing to say your system works,
Right.
but proving it with real-world tests is a whole other level.
Absolutely. Another firm that stood out
Yeah.
clearly outlined how their board of directors was directly involved in overseeing the AML-CTF program.
Oh, so they were showing that compliance wasn't just some
Yeah.
box to be ticked.
Exactly. It was embedded in their company culture from the top down.
So the FCA wants to see that leadership takes compliance seriously,
Absolutely.
not just leaving it to,
Right.
a single department to handle.
Exactly. It's got to be a company-wide effort.
Okay, so we've talked about what a good application looks like.
Right.
Let's flip the script
Okay.
and talk about the things that make the FCA hit the reject button.
Oh, the dreaded reject button.
What are some of the common mistakes that firms are making?
Well, one of the biggest red flags is submitting those generic off-the-shelf AML-CTF policies and procedures.
You mean like the kind you can just download from the internet?
Exactly. It shows a lack of effort
Yeah.
and a failure to tailor the program to the specific risks of the business.
Right. It would be like trying to squeeze into a suit.
Okay.
That's 3 sizes too small.
I get it.
Just not a good fit.
Not a good look. What other issues are they seeing in these rejected applications?
Well, tell me more.
Insufficient risk assessments are a major problem.
Yeah.
A lot of firms clearly hadn't put enough thought into identifying and assessing the unique risks associated with their particular business model and the specific types of crypto assets they deal with.
It's kind of like setting off on a journey with no map or compass.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
You might eventually get where you want to go,
Yeah,
but it's much more likely you'll end up lost or in danger.
exactly. And then there's the issue of governance structures.
Okay.
Some applications were vague about who was responsible for what within the compliance program. They didn't have clear reporting lines or accountability.
So if the FCA can't even tell who's in charge,
Right.
how can the firm be expected to ensure effective compliance?
It's a recipe for disaster.
It makes you wonder if they're even taking it seriously.
Right. Another thing that stood out to me,
Yeah.
the FCA really wants to see evidence, not just empty claims.
Proof.
Yes. One firm claimed to have a robust system for verifying customer identities.
Okay.
But when the FCA asked for documentation,
Yeah.
they couldn't produce anything.
Oh, wow. So it's one thing to say you're doing everything right,
Right.
but they need to see the receipts, so to speak.
Exactly. They need to see the testing results,
Okay.
the training records for staff,
Yeah.
board meeting minutes,
I see.
basically anything that shows a genuine commitment to compliance in practice.
So going beyond theory and providing concrete proof.
Exactly.
Okay, let's switch gears for a moment.
Okay.
If you were advising a compliance officer who's preparing an FCA application for a crypto firm,
Okay.
what would you tell them to absolutely nail in their application?
Well, the most important thing I would emphasize is risk-based thinking.
Okay.
Don't just go through the motions. Take the time to truly understand the specific risks facing your firm
Uh-huh.
and tailor your compliance program accordingly.
So being proactive and anticipating potential issues
Yes.
rather than waiting for something to go wrong and then trying to fix it.
Exactly. Prevention is key.
Makes sense. What else should they focus on?
Don't be afraid to get help from the experts.
Oh, good point.
There are consultants and legal advisors who specialize in helping firms navigate the FCA application process.
Right.
They can provide valuable guidance
Uh-huh.
and help you avoid those common pitfalls we've been discussing.
It's like having a guide to help you navigate a tricky mountain trail.
I like that.
They know the best path to take
Right?
and can warn you about dangerous areas.
Exactly. And remember, the FCA is looking for that real-world evidence.
Right.
Don't just tell them you've tested your systems.
Yeah.
Show them the results.
Okay.
Include screenshots,
Yeah.
data samples,
Got it.
anything that can back up your claims.
So concrete proof.
Yes. Another crucial piece of advice.
What's that?
You need to clearly demonstrate how your firm's processes and procedures align with UK financial crime legislation.
Okay, so connect the dots for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The FCA wants to see that you understand the relevant laws and regulations and that they're deeply integrated into every aspect of your operations.
So they need to show how they've taken the regulations into account
Yes.
and woven them into their day-to-day work.
Absolutely. It's all about demonstrating that commitment to compliance.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What final words of wisdom would you offer? Yeah, it sounds like clear communication is key.
It really is.
You need to be able to articulate,
Right.
what your firm is doing,
Right.
why you're doing it,
Yep.
and how it all fits within that regulatory framework.
Absolutely. The FCA needs to see that you can explain your compliance program in a way that is
Yes.
clear, concise, and compelling.
Got it.
It's about painting that complete picture for them.
This is all incredibly valuable information, I think,
Oh, yeah.
for anyone
Right.
involved in the crypto space.
Especially those thinking about launching a new firm in the UK.
Right. It's like the FCA is giving everyone a roadmap to success.
That's a great way to look at it. This feedback is truly insightful.
Yeah.
It allows firms to understand exactly what the FCA is looking for, what impresses them, and what raises red flags.
Right.
It's a chance to get it right from the beginning.
So for our listener
Yeah.
who's diving deep into this world,
Okay.
what would you say is the single most important takeaway from all of this?
That's a good question.
What should they be prioritizing as they prepare to launch their crypto firm?
I would say the key is to embrace a culture of compliance from day one.
Okay.
Don't treat it as an afterthought or something you'll tackle later.
Right.
Make it part of your company's DNA.
So bake it into the very foundation of your business,
Exactly.
not just add it on as a last-minute decoration.
Precisely. And remember, the FCA isn't simply looking for compliance on paper.
Right.
They want to see that it's reflected in your actions,
Uh-huh.
your decisions, and how you interact with your customers.
Got it.
It has to be authentic and ingrained in everything you do.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
Walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
exactly.
It's about demonstrating a genuine understanding of the risks, having those robust systems in place,
Yes.
and proving your commitment to playing by the rules.
It all boils down to trust and integrity.
Right.
The FCA wants to see that the UK crypto sector is built on a solid foundation of responsible practices.
And their feedback provides a blueprint for achieving just that.
Absolutely.
It's great that the FCA is setting such a high bar.
It really is.
It benefits everyone in the long run.
Yeah.
The firms themselves,
Right.
their customers,
Yeah.
and the overall financial system.
I couldn't agree more. By raising the standards, the FCA is helping to foster a more stable and trustworthy crypto landscape in the UK.
So as you continue to explore this space, dear listener, keep this guidance in mind.
It's valuable stuff.
It's not just about meeting the minimum requirements.
Right.
It's about building a business that's both successful and responsible.
Couldn't said it better myself.
We'll leave you with that thought. Until next time, keep diving deep.